Joining us is Galaxy Digital CEO Mike Novogratz. And I don't know how you'd weight all the different things, Mike, but for a while it looked like the Bitcoin price came off 25,000, started headed up based on some of the spot ETF conjecture. But this latest move, which really accelerated, had a lot more to do with what you think as an alternative to fiat, as an alternative to money printing, when the Fed said, yeah, we may go back into an easing phase again, and then it was off to the races.
Yeah, Bitcoin up 150% on the year.
150
asset again. For all the Bitcoin skeptics out there, a little victory lap. Listen, the Fed's pivot is really important. That press conference was as dovish as anybody expected, and the markets are behaving that way. You look at fixed income markets, equity markets; they all are now trading a Fed pivot. And is it, March, January, or do they wait till the April meeting? We'll see. We'll see what their narrative is. We'll see what the inflation data is. But this is all based on inflation coming down, and it's not based on growth collapsing. And so they shifted to a more inflation-focused Fed, which gives them the room to cut rates. I think crypto likes it. We're going to get this ETF before January 10th. That's kind of the drop dead date that Gensler has before he gets in trouble with Grayscale and the lawsuit. And so I think you're going to see this, announced. It won't start trading then, right? That probably takes 6 to 8 weeks after that. But it's just more fuel for a fire. Crypto stocks are trading almost like a mania. This, in some ways, it's a little nervous. I'm a little nervous because it feels so good. Like a lot of the altcoins. Just, my friend called me yesterday. He said the degens, the degenerates, the traders are having a field day. And that always gets you a little bit nervous. And so, listen, could, stock market's up 8 days in a row. Does it go up 10 days in a row? There's always a correction. But broadly, we're still in bull market phase.
So then let's assume that eventually regulators and just the whole institutional world is able to act on what it would like to do with Bitcoin and crypto. What will it be at that point? Will it be a place, will it be a safe haven, or will it be a speculative asset that people run into when they want to take a lot of risk and try to make a lot of money? Or will it be a combination of both?
Listen, Joe, I've been down to D.C. a bunch in the last 4 months. And if I had any faith that we were going to get a Simpson-Bowles amendment to balance the budget, or we were going to have any fiscal prudence, I wouldn't be as bullish on Bitcoin. But I just don't. And we're going into election year. And so you're going to have a Fed cutting when we still have a 5% budget deficit and a projected 5 or 6% budget deficit out next year and the following year. If people start shifting to 1% of their portfolio, institutions, 1%, not 10, just 1, there isn't a lot of supply of Bitcoin or Ethereum. And so there's a shot that you really get a parabolic move, right? Everyone says, well, the miner supply. We have customers that are platform customers that come in and buy enough Bitcoin every day to take out all the miners. And so when you think about the supply-demand dynamic, we haven't really had a situation where you have a global market and you have something of such limited supply. And so I think Bitcoin could go far higher. I think first stop next year will be the old highs, 69,000. But it wouldn't surprise me if it went beyond that.
And you don't think there's any possibility now that that either politicians or corporate leaders, Jamie Dimon and the like, say, look, this is used to fund terrorist activities. The only use case is for money laundering and nefarious means. And Elizabeth Warren says, look, Jamie Dimon is right. We need to put a stop to this. That's the horse is out of the barn. That's never happening.
Yeah, it's not happening. Listen, this is a global asset. I mean, there are so many unbelievably respected investors that believe Bitcoin has value. And so, again, I would sit, Ray Dalio and Jeff Yass and Abby Johnson and Bill Miller, and I can give you 50 of them on the other side of the table from Jamie Dimon or Elizabeth Warren and say, like, who gives you the right to say what has value? The terrorist financing illicit use cases has kind of been debunked. Yes, some crypto is used for bad things, but not nearly as much as fiat, right? I mean, Jamie Dimon's bank has paid $38 billion in fines since he's been there. $38 billion. Add up all the bad trades with crypto, it doesn't add up to $38 billion. And so should we ban JP Morgan? I mean, that's a crazy statistic.
So Gary Gensler and some of the other regulators, is it easier or safer to just not do anything, or doesn't that sort of leave investors in this country, actually around the world, just that makes it more risky than if they were to actually just take the bull by the horns and decide what to do?
There's a group of both Democrats and Republicans in D.C. that want to get legislation through. There's two pieces of legislation that would really give us a good framework around both stable coins and the rest of crypto. And it's Elizabeth Warren and the White House, the Biden White House, that is stopping that. And I think post this election, we will either have a new administration, either Democrat, Republican. And even if Biden wins, my guess is there's a new Secretary of Treasury and a new head of the SEC, and we'll finally make some progress. There are plenty of Democrats that want crypto legislation, just not enough at stake to take on Elizabeth Warren.